From the creators who brought you RuPaul's Drag Race and Million Dollar Listing, this is World of Wonders Wow Report. Things that make us go wow.
Hello and welcome to this week's edition of the Wow Report, where we count down the top 10 of the week that made us go wow.
Wow.
I am Fenton Bailey. I'm so glad to be back reunited with Tom Campbell and James St. James. It's been so long. It feels like months.
It does. I didn't even recognize you when you first came. You have a whole new style for those of you who are not watching. Fenton always wears stripes, and for some reason, he's in funereal black.
I did buy some striped t-shirts on spring break in Korea, actually. I found my St. James, my favorite t-shirt brand.
Yes.
I found a St. James store in Seoul, Korea, and they had colors of stripes that are not in the catalog and are not online.
Like that are not in the rainbow. They are new colors that have been discovered by the South Koreans.
So I'm waiting to debut this. So I'm very excited to be here. And I guess we should start our countdown. Tom.
Number 10.
The finale of White Lotus. All we've done is talk about it every show, sometimes twice a show. We can go plot by plot point, but people kind of know or don't know. What I'm shocked about is the amount. I'm not shocked because people are mean and people are short-sighted, but there's a lot of negativity toward the finale of White Lotus, saying that it was a big letdown. There's critics and people online just saying, and James, you may be one of them. Listen, I know what they're talking about. Every week, when a White Lotus episode ended, in my bed, when I would click it on as soon as it was available, and I would watch the whole thing breathlessly, I would think, that's all? And then I would spend the next 7 days talking about it incessantly and quoting it and bringing it up in conversations later. Naturally, it was a little plotty, the last one, but it was one thing after another. And I just want to say, and then you can go off on your own, but Mike White has responded to the criticism of the finale by saying,
I love this.
Go to bed with me, then get out of my bed. I'm edging you. Enjoy the edging. If you don't want to be edged, then get out of my bed. Don't be a bossy bottom. Get the fuck out of my bed. Don't come home with me. Don't get naked in my bed. Get the fuck out of my bed. Anyway, one more reason to, Mike White in my I love you column.
To be fair, both things can be true at the same time. It can
Absolutely.
be plotting, but every single moment of the finale, I was transfixed. There was not one scene where I wasn't hanging on the edge of my bed, waiting for some sort of resolve or something.
Hanging on the edge of your bed in a sexual sense, then?
Just hanging on the edge, edging with Mike White.
Edging your mattress. Like
Gooning all over Thailand is what I was doing. Lachlan, I was prepared for when he died. I was fine with him dying. Okay, and then they bring him back to life. All of the Ratliff people could have died. I would have been fine with that. I thought that whole thing was a fake out. I don't like fake outs. I don't like it when he has a dream and then he wakes up and they're still alive. He kills them. I don't like any of that. Okay, I thought the Walter Goggins and Toothy Girl, their death, I thought that was just so sad, so tragic. It really was. The three Carrie Coon's monologue was Emmy Award winning, just fantastic.
Emmy Award winning. The great turnaround of all was that the good people, the characters that were good and sweet, including Gay Talk, is that how you say his name?
Oh, yeah.
They both were lured toward the dark.
The
yin and the yang. And all the dark people were given some kind of breakthrough and kind of
exactly. We saw with Saxon when he looked over and he saw her run into Walter Goggins' arms, and you just saw, maybe that's the kind of love that I want. Maybe that's the kind of and like you saw it click. You saw in real time as he maybe turned a corner in his life. That was amazing bit of acting on Patrick Schwarzenegger's part.
Fenton, are you not up to speed? Did we just ruin everything for you?
I'm not up to speed. I don't think it's possible to ruin it for me because to me, it's like what happens isn't really what it's about. It's the texture and the tension of everything that is what it's about. So I'm fine. I mean, is this talk about Bossy Bottoms going to dim his Emmy potential? Someone was saying to me the other day, like, I was thinking about when Rue said that he'd sooner have an enema than an Emmy, and people were like, oh.
And he won that year.
Exactly. So you can have enemas, you can get edged, you can be
market alone. How do you even know what happened yesterday? It's hard to do. No one will remember.
But it's just so beautifully shot, so beautifully acted, so beautifully written that I forgive every plot point that I did not approve of.
It's almost like it should be longer or something, but because it feels like there's more to explore, but it's really rich. It's really wonderful. It's impossible to pick a favorite, yet I have Leslie Bibb. For all of her short hair, especially, she should get the Emmy for her reaction to Carrie Coon's speech. Because they're all like, "Oh, this is the best. I feel so fulfilled. This is the best." And then Carrie Coon is like, "I have felt awful this whole trip." And Leslie Bibb turns to her like why? And then she has that. CUNTY.
It's the hairography. It's definitely bobography. This is definitely she's she's acting with her bob.
She went to Chris McMillan to get her haircut before the thing, and they made it.
Oh, it's very Chris McMillan, isn't it? Yes.
And she said, I'm going to use a dirty word. I want to. I'll use instead of a C, I'll use an H. I want a hunty bob. Just give me a hunty bob. I just want a hunt. She said it like 10 times. I just want a hunty bob. It was so good. Anyway, my friend Greg came over. It was 6:00 when it dropped on Max on the West Coast. We pushed the button.
Wait, I thought it dropped at 9 on the West Coast with Max. It's 6.
You get it. 6.
I wait until 9 every week. I can't believe. Oh, I'm such an idiot.
Yes, you're such an idiot.
Well, Fenton, maybe you can watch it and we'll talk about it again next week.
Oh, let's do it. Let's watch it all. Let's start season 1 again.
Never let it end.
I also think people remember the previous seasons with such adoration that they don't take every,
Yeah, everyone's always like, oh, well, this season isn't as good as last season. And then they will miss it so much with the next season when the next season comes along. And I just, two predictive things like where is the next one going to be? Do you know? And what's going to happen in it? Do you know? What do you think?
He has said that he's tired of water crashing against rocks. He does not, if they ever do that again, he's going to, so someone was saying it would be in Aspen or something like that. And he said, no, it can't be in any place cold, but there's not going to be water crashing against rocks.
I read probably Europe.
Dubai.
Oh, it's so hot there.
Interesting.
But it's not cold. And there's no waves crashing.
There won't be water crashing against rocks.
Yeah. Okay.
The sands of time,
if you will,
whipped up by the desert winds. Okay. All right. Number 9.
Number 9.
I watched The Residence on Netflix. I don't know if you guys have been paying attention to it. Tom, this is right up your alley. I really have to give it to you. It's a Shondaland production. Good old-fashioned murder mystery. There's a state dinner at the White House, and the head butler, played by Giancarlo Esposito, is murdered in the first 10 minutes. There is 132 rooms, 157 suspects, and Uzo Adobe, she plays a Miss Marple, Hercule Poirot type of wacky detective who is obsessed with birds. She's a bird watcher, and somehow every episode she watches a bird, and that somehow gives her an idea of what's going on. And it's 8 episodes, and every single episode there's a suspect that you walk away thinking, well, it's got to be them. It's got to be them. It's got to be them. And then the next episode comes and it's got to be them. It's got to be them. It's got to be them. And some of the cast members are Jason Lee, Bronson Pinchot, Jane Curtin, Taryn Killiam, and Kylie Minogue plays herself. She was a guest at the White House. And afterwards, after the murder, they all are in lockdown. And so for the next 12 hours, they're all just sitting in this room together. And she wants to take a nap in the Lincoln bedroom. And so she keeps trying to bribe everybody so that she can take a nap. And then she finally gets up there, and Hugh Jackman is there too. And you never see his face. He just voiced it in. So you see him like pass out, and you see his feet, and then you hear him talking, and he gets a better bedroom than the Lincoln bedroom, and so she's furious with Hugh Jackman. It's just this whole, she's absolutely hysterical, and then she sings to keep everybody calm. It's this wacky show. It's snappy and it's funny, and there's never a dull moment ever, and you are constantly trying to guess who done it. And then when you finally get who done it, it's just it
feels a little Scandal throwback. Yes, a little of that too.
But it's more fun. It is this is very knowing. This is very self-aware, and it is very just tongue in cheek.
Is it a bit Murders in the Building-y sort of?
Well, that's just it. If you like Murders in the Building, if you like Knives Out, you're gonna love this. It's not quite on par with Murders on the Building, but it's still, Tom, you're gonna just sink into it.
I'm on board. Thank you for doing that preview for me.
It's sort of an upstairs downstairs thing where you get to know all the people, and every single person downstairs at some point screams, "I hate you! I'm gonna kill you!" One of those types of things, And so everybody
like
has
the WoW report, just like the WoW report.
Every single person has a motive, and every single person has means, and it's just fantastic.
And presumably this could be the beginning of a franchise for that, right?
It could. Well, because Ken Park is her assistant. I don't know if you know Ken Park. I think he was in
Fresh Off the Boat.
Yeah, and he's just adorable, and he plays this sort of hapless, he's sort of trailing behind her and asking all the stupid questions, and so the two of them together could do a bunch of different. Yeah, it could be fast.
Can't wait to see it.
I read that it's the largest reconstruction of the White House ever undertaken.
I'll tell you something. I honestly believed they were shooting at the White House. It looks, all the rooms are so pitch perfect. They have the yellow room and the oval. All the different, even the Lincoln bedroom, everything looks exactly like it was. Even the hallways, everything. It was the old fashioned White House, because now we've got Versailles fucking.
Why don't they just build another White House and use it to shoot in all the time? Just a sort of permanent White House set.
Yes,
it would be a good investment.
But you will have interior design just boner the entire time.
Oh, good. Okay, good. Oh, well, that's The Residence, right? Yes. On Netflix. All right. Number 8. Went to South Korea for spring break with the kids.
Ding. Yes, I can't believe we waited till the third topic.
And to do the Squid Game experience. That's kind of like why we went, because you can go to Seoul, and in the sort of trendy it's like sort of the Brooklyn of Seoul, lots of coffee shops, is a warehouse, and it's the Squid Game experience. And you pay your money, they give you a wristband, you get a number, and you literally go through a series of rooms where you play a series of Squid Gamey games.
Is it a little unnerving? Is it a little scary?
It's not scary, but it is surprisingly intense. And at first I was like, this is just a set built in a warehouse. I was like sort of being all that. But, and the people in the Squid Game uniforms, they don't quite fit, so they're sort of hot, but not
the pink guys with the
the pink boiler suits, the pink onesies with the face. But then it sort of starts to get to you, and the music, and you suddenly realize when you're playing these games, obviously it's not life or death, but it's extraordinary how competitive everybody becomes. And there are families there with their kids, and the parents really beat their kids, not physically assault them, no, like want to win the game.
Did you want to win, Elliot? Did you?
Oh, Billy was a model of good parenting, so that when that final game where you're going round and round, and then the music stops and you have to jump on a spot, and there's only 3 spots for 20 people, and do you shove your kid aside? And Billy very graciously didn't, but it's.
But what about your behavior, Fenton?
Yeah, I was carefully, yes, no, I was desperately competitive. One of the best games was red light, green light, where you have to like advance and then stop.
And was the doll there, the giant doll?
They had the giant doll, but that was before you went in, just as a sort of mood setter.
Right, sure.
But in the actual red light, green light, they put it's a clear sort of football field, and they put boxes in the way, and you can't touch the boxes. And then the Squid Game guards walk around when you're frozen and look at you and try to get you to like giggle and move. And Billy also won that. He got first over the finish line. I don't know how he did that. And we did the bridge. You know, the bridge where you step on the glass and it explodes.
Yeah.
They did that with lights. So they show you a pattern of lights, and you have to memorize which the ones are that are safe, and then walk across the bridge.
Wow.
I won that game.
Oh,
And it's like 40 people on this tour, and we all have these things that are tracking, so we get to see the scoreboard and how we're doing. And
I know you're not afraid to pay a little extra for VIP treatment. Do you think did you win the VIP? You get to win like tickets? Was that?
No, there's no. You can't buy the game, but we did buy the VIP tickets and get to go to the VIP room, which is hilarious because you get a free drink in the VIP room, and you get to watch on screens the next groups going through playing the games. It was just ingenious. And I mean, this is where the sort of the car leaves the road. I mean, I sort of understand Squid Game more, I think, now having visited Korea, because there's something slightly weird about Korea. I mean, I guess from a Western perspective, it's very foreign and genuinely colonial, but there's also a weird vibe about, there's a social sort of presentational way, almost like the hotel sort of had a White Lotus feel, right? But underneath it is a lot of rules, and you find yourself suddenly in violation of all sorts of rules, and they're not unkind, but there is a sense in which it's like, these are the rules, you follow the rules. Do you know? It's
my experience in Seoul. I visited there in the summer of 1986.
Right.
It was 2 years before the Seoul Olympics.
Yes.
And these are the things I remember, which is that entire swaths of the city, mile long, were being built, hotels and facilities just to accommodate. The drivers were crazy, and they said that the general population in 1986 had a license for 10 years. So it was like driving with a bunch of teenagers. People were just like crazy. We were screaming. And every place else we went, which was Tokyo and Hong Kong and Beijing. Beijing was pretty special too. But we got to sort of go out on our own. I was with my singing group. But in Seoul, we were very strictly taken everywhere. They were very much wanted us to see a very certain point of view. So I don't know if I mean, it's a long time ago, but I wonder if it sounds similar in a way.
Yes, there isn't that sort of dictatorial control like in North Korea, but there is a sense of sort of lurking, not menace, but just authority, and that you obey. It's hard to describe, but there is an element. I was like, yeah, Squid Game makes a lot of sense now. And I have to say, we also watched the second season of Squid Game while we were there.
Yeah.
And I thought it was really good. I don't know why all these people are complaining about it and saying it's not good.
Because people like to complain.
True. Maybe that's it.
I think they were complaining because it just took too long. There was a lot of setup before you got to the game.
Yes, but it's mood, it's atmosphere, right?
Right.
It's like everyone's so action junkies that if I just love just soaking in it.
Instant gratification.
Yeah. Well, let's take a quick break. Blake, you got a question?
I do. Which characters were supposed to bump uglies in the White Lotus season 3 finale before the scene was cut?
Yeah, I know this.
Ooh. We'll have the answer right here on the Wow Report after the break.
You're listening to World of Wonders Wow Report. Things that make us go wow.
Welcome back to the Wow Report. Fenton here with James and Tom and Blake.
Yes, and we were talking about the White Lotus finale, the season 3 finale, in the previous segment. So I asked which characters were supposed to make love in the White Lotus finale before their scene was cut.
Yeah, they actually did film it, but they didn't end up using it.
Is it a gay scene?
No. Tom, any guesses?
I can't guess. Actually, no, I read it.
Okay.
It's Piper, no! And
Zion, Zion Lindsay, and
Zion.
Piper
Oh
Ratliff.
gosh.
I would have liked to have seen that. I'm telling you.
I
Oh,
know.
but they said that would have added another 20 minutes. To
I
the
would have
plot.
been. I had no place to go Sunday. I loved it.
Yeah, White Lotus, the immersive experience, just soaking it for days. It could be like Big Brother. It just goes on and on.
Yes.
We are counting down the top 10 things of the week that made us go, wow. We've reached number 7.
Number 7.
My friend Greg told me to watch a show that I was reluctant to because of its title. It's on Hulu. It's called Dying for Sex. Have you guys heard about this?
No.
Yes.
It's
I'm right. I'm not reluctant to watch that.
Michelle Williams. It's based on a true story podcast hosted by Nikki Boyer, and it stars Michelle Williams.
Wait,
And-
from Destiny's Child?
The other one, the actress, the narrator of the Britney book,
Yeah.
and Jenny Slate. And in the opening episode, there's 8 episodes. I've seen 4. She's in couples therapy with Jay Duplass, who's her husband. And it's just not going well. You can tell. She gets a phone call in the middle of the therapy. She takes the call. It's rude. It's her doctor. He said, you know, that test that we did, I get some bad news. And so she now has stage 4 cancer. She's going to pass away. She leaves her husband, and she realizes that the one thing she hasn't gotten in her life is an orgasm with another person. And so it's this crazy.
Oh, Sissy Spacek is in this as well, isn't she?
Sissy Spacek has not appeared yet, but I believe she plays the mother. No, it's all the episodes are out. They're all out. I've only gotten through 4. So it gets into bondage. It gets into people's. Rob Delaney's her next door neighbor, and he likes to be kind of like dominated. And there's an episode where she meets this really cool like Wall Street guy who likes to be humiliated, and so she like has to yell at his penis. I saw my friend Greg this morning, and he didn't know that I was watching it. I just said, "You have a terrible penis. Your penis is lousy," and he was like, "What?" I'm like, "Goes, oh, you're watching."
Is it a comedy? I mean,
Yes.
Okay, yeah.
But it's a comedy, but it has deep feeling because it's like she's going to die. I have 2 friends who I've known very well through my life here in LSS, both of whom about my age, one of whom is very, very, is in hospice with cancer, fought the good fight, it's over. And another friend has just found out that he's in an advanced stage of cancer. And so I'm having dinner, I'm visiting. It's just like, it is a reality. And I don't know that I'm sure I'm in denial. We're all in denial. But I also it's a fact of life.
Right.
But I'll tell you something. You two, if after I die, you do a podcast and a TV show about me, I will be furious and I will come back and haunt you. I want it all while I'm living.
I like the idea of a podcast with the ghost of James St. James. Don't you think that's good?
I don't think James read the small print of his contract. You have your death rights, my friend.
Actually, James, you just don't know it, but you're already dead and you are a ghost.
It's really complex stuff done in a not disrespectful, but breezy, intelligent way. And they've used something that I have not seen done this extensively, this well. Literally at the same time, she has dialogue that she's saying to people and she's thinking to herself. So you hear 2 things like say something, then she's quiet, say something, so she's like, I really like your hat. Oh my God, that's the worst hat I ever saw.
Oh, I found the title a little bit de-encouraging to watch it. Do you know what I mean? But everything you say makes me want to watch it.
I recommend everyone see Dying for Sex on Hulu.
All right. Number 6, James.
Number 6.
Live with Kelly and Mark went to a new studio this week after 40 years. When Regis and Kelly and Regis and Kathy Lee were in their old studio, they've moved to a new building, and it's a new studio, and it is humongous. It is 3 stories tall. There's floor to ceiling windows, and it's the moment it started, it sort of panned, and you saw how there was something very odd about it. There was no stadium seating. Everybody is seated on the floor, and the stage is raised, and Kelly and Mark walk out and they start to talk, and all of a sudden there's a look of horror on Kelly's face and a look of terror on Mark's as all of a sudden you realize, hello, 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 hello. And the echo is bouncing from the floor to the ceiling, to the wall, to the wall, to the wall, to the back again and back and forward. And as the first 5 minutes go on, you just see that everything they say is being amplified. And
wouldn't they have worked this out?
Well, that's just it.
Right?
And I mean, I love Kelly and Mark. I love her so much. You know that she's a perfectionist. You just know it in your heart of hearts. And you know that the second the show ended,
that's the show.
Because by God, nobody beta tested this. Nobody came out. And the microphones were off. Everything about this show did not work. And they kept bringing guests out. And the guests were doing this. And they were looking at each other like this. So Tuesday, they come out. And you see them sort of crawl out like what's going to happen today. And the microphones are a little better. The lighting is a little better. The sound is there's still a little bit of an echo, but somebody's worked on it a little bit. And then today you walk out and there's a panoramic view of the thing. And suddenly there are plants everywhere. There's carpet everywhere. There's muffling stuff on, there's sound muffling on the ceiling. Like, that there has been meeting after meeting after meeting about this, and by God, they're gonna make it work because there's no going back, I suppose. But it was just that Monday, seeing their faces is they realize the horror of.
Here's a tidbit. I believe that this is a temporary residence.
You think it's temporary?
I think the studio is not ready, and they're using this football field room at Disney headquarters.
Confirmed, it is a temporary space. Yeah.
Okay.
No, and by the way, as much as why not have a live show that goes wrong? What's the point of having a live show if you don't have like a huge audio problem? How delightful!
As long as it's not your show and you're not.
But the thing is, because she is so beautiful and he's so handsome, and the show is such a well-oiled machine that it's such a shock when literally it's probably one of the best produced shows on television. I just wish I had screen captured the look of horror for the first 5 minutes as they realize that the ship is going down.
And it's live, right? There's no backing.
Yeah,
they can't stop the show.
Yeah, exactly.
But the great thing about daytime television, having been a veteran, is it's like the newspaper. It's like, and then we're done, throw it out, let's do the next one. You know what I'm saying?
You'll keep watching then, I take it, James.
I'm like Tom. It is my, live with Kelly and Mark, and then The View, and I am happy the rest of the day.
All right. Number 5. Miracles and Wonder, The Historical Mystery of Jesus by Elain Pagles.
This is very unlike you, Fenton.
It is and it isn't. I actually, at school, I read divinity. I studied theology.
So this is something in your wheelhouse.
And now you're a heathen.
I am pretty heathen, I think. But I mean, Christianity has always sort of been a bit fascinating because, how is it that it has lasted? When I saw this review of the book, Elain Pagles writing this book, she's asking the same question. How come when Jesus Christ was around, there were a bunch of militant revolutionaries, not unlike Jesus, who ended up getting crucified? So she's like, how come thousands of years later, Christianity is surviving?
It's not only still around, but it's thriving in a way that is probably we've not seen in 500 years.
Well, exactly. And there was a sort of parallel track in my mind of MAGA and the right wing and the sort of evangelical and the idea of a cult and why can it be that someone can exercise a cult-like persuasive power over people that seems to champion anything real or science-based or fact-based so I ended up reading
basically everything that is anti-Christ's teachings. The evangelicals and everybody are saying that they're doing this in the name of Christ, but they are being as un-Christ-like as possible.
So it is kind of fascinating to me. And Elain Pagles spent her whole life studying and writing books, and I've read a few of her books actually, because the Gnostic Gospels, so you got Matthew, Mark, Luke, and John, And then you have these other gospels that never made it
Mary
into the
Magdalene and
yes, the Gospel
Judah.
of Mary Magdalene,
Judas.
the Gospel of Thomas, the
Yeah.
Gospel of Judas. There's
Yes.
a Gospel of Judas.
Oh, it's a fascinating one. Yes, I've read
It is. And then I was reading the book, and it's like the virgin birth and then the resurrection. You just sort of, I suppose, you grow up so surrounded by Christianity, you don't stop for a second and think, what the fuck? Like, how is this possible? She herself, after spending a lifetime studying, has written many books. Is sort of trying to answer these questions. And I'm not necessarily sure that reading this book will actually answer those questions. But I found it absolutely fascinating, quite apart from the fact that the virgin birth, I mean, they mistranslate virgin and young woman and, probably wasn't a virgin birth. But then the other thing they do, the gospel writers did, who were writing hundreds of years after Jesus died, was they would go back to the Old Testament, look at prophecies and say, oh, okay, so this is what happened because these books aren't history. They're sort of proselytizing texts. And to me, the fact that anybody could read the Bible and literally say every word of the Bible is true is like...
It's a bit like taking something that happened today and attributing and saying Nostradamus was right.
Yes,
exactly. That it's that same sort of thing where you're going to give Nostradamus. Yeah,
exactly. You could say, that the current president is divinely appointed because, like King David, he looked on. It's just, it is the definition of insanity, and I guess to me that's sort of fascinating. But there's an interesting, and I would say very controversial, other point, which is that these gospel writers were writing under occupied Israel, Roman occupied Israel. And at this point, there'd been a rebellion. Jesus was dead years ago. There'd been a rebellion. The Romans had sacked the temple, torn it down. They were living under Roman occupation. So they are at pains to make it look like the Romans were not the reason that Jesus was crucified, even though the only people who crucified people were the Romans. So it would be impossible for Jesus to have been crucified were it not by the Romans' hands, by their order, by their decision. But, and I'm sorry, you probably all know this already, but I had no idea. But the gospel writers were living in such fear of the Romans. If they wrote a book that blamed the Romans, they'd probably get oofed. Yeah. So it was expedient for them to blame someone else for Jesus's death.
And this is your next podcast, by the way. There's so many good allegories and reasons and truths that come from the Bible, but all the factual stuff, it's not factual.
It's
not
factual at all.
Mary wasn't a virgin. That was a word that came up.
There was no talking donkey.
It certainly was not. And, of course, Mary Magdalene's special relationship with Jesus not only got written, Mary was sort of a
poor woman she was not a whore. That was something that the Constantine or somebody in the 15th century decided to slag her off. And
she was more of a content creator.
And then, of course, because of the Gospels, you have an enormous amount of anti-Semitism because they blame the Jews for killing Jesus. Yeah. Anyway, it just seemed a timely thing to talk about, what with Easter coming up, and I just find it fascinating and a little disturbing, I suppose. So
I find spirituality is a metaphor. No one knows what God is, what it looks like. A lot of people believe there is a higher power, and we spend all the idea that Christ is the only way to that feeling or that is crazy. It's like, and everybody has their own metaphor, their own language. That's why there's music. That's why there's dance. That's why there's the art. Because I think we're all trying to express things that can't be expressed in words.
And on that note, we're going to have to tie it up because Blake is having an aneurysm.
Oh, okay. Well, Blake, come on, ask us a question.
You caught me off guard there, James.
Well, you've been saying let's go to break for 40 minutes now.
Yeah, but I'm used to it. What business mogul, who also happens to be a singer, drinks snake sperm for her vocals?
I'll get out of here. We'll have the answer right after the break on the Wow Report.
You're listening to World of Wonders Wow Report. Things that make us go wow.
Welcome back to the Wow Report. Fenton here with Tom and James and Blake.
Which business mogul, who also happens to be a singer, drinks snake sperm to help smooth out her vocals?
Jessica Simpson.
Yes.
No.
How did you know, James?
Wow.
No, really?
Yeah. She posted on an Instagram video on March 28th. She said, they're like, what are you drinking? Because, you know, it's like this Chinese herb thing. And I'm like, I don't know. My vocal coach told me to drink it. And then she said she like Googled the ingredients, and one of the ingredients was snake
How do you
sperm.
jerk off a snake to get the sperm in your drink?
Very carefully.
Honest to God, when you said mogul and then some snake sperm, I thought, who's kooky enough to do that? And I had no idea that was just a stab in the dark.
Well, you got it, dude.
James St. James are a genius. A genius.
I'll be damned. That is fantastic.
Oh my God.
I'm proud
All
of
right,
myself.
we're counting down the top 10 things of the week that made us go, wow. And we've reached number 4.
Number 4.
I want to talk about Gayle King on a couple of fronts.
I'm glad you're doing this because I don't quite understand what happened and I'm a little upset by it.
Couple of things. First of all, on record, big picture, I'm a huge Gayle King fan. I respect that she's so successful later in her life. When I was watching morning shows, I watched her. She was dogged this week for using a gay slur on the air while talking to the hilarious comedian gay Mateo Elain, who we know and love. I'm going to read you the quote of what she said. And she's interviewing with him. It's a fun interview. She goes, can we talk about the stand-up? Can I just say one joke? She's quoting his joke. I hope I don't get in trouble, she said. You do a riff about white women who approach you and they say something about cooking. And you said, what the F word?
No. Go ahead and say it.
What in the faggotry are you talking about? You do a riff about white women who approach you and they said something about cooking.
So wait a minute. So is she quoting Mateo or is she
Yeah.
just saying it on her own?
She's trying to quote one of his jokes. And he says, what the faggot are you going on? Now, we've used that word among ourselves, right?
Sure.
And I think she recognized she was tiptoeing over a line. She said, I hope this is okay. She said it. Mateo Elain in the moment laughed. I don't think he's offended. And then I think, so this is just to me like people.
But do straight people have the right to use those words any more than do white people have the right to use the N word?
I think it's intention. And I don't want to ever say the N word.
Yes.
I do think that in this particular case, I give her a pass because it doesn't bother me that much. There, I said it.
Can you explain the joke to me too?
Like it's an expression. It doesn't. It's less about the joke that just like what it's just like he just like puts people down by saying what the hell are you talking about? It's like we say like you don't have to be gay to watch RuPaul's Drag Race, but it sure does help. I mean, we use the word gay, but it's just that kind of thing.
But I don't know that I give this 65-year-old woman a hall pass to say that. I think,
but she's quoting someone's joke. It's like
I'd be if she'd have said it like 2 months ago, I would be on her side. But since she's going up in Jeff Bezos' ship,
well,
I'm a little biased.
All right, I'm not. I wanted to get to that too. So to me, I give her a pass on that. What I have trouble forgiving her for, thank you, Blake, is that in a week, she and Lauren Sanchez and a bunch of other women
and Katy Perry. Let's not
Katy Perry are going in a capsule into space. And I talked about on this show a long time ago that first not SpaceX, but the first Amazon launch. She was there reporting on it like it was her best friend, like it was the launching of the moon.
Well, we know that she's on the Bezos yacht every summer.
So that's where Gayle becomes, and again, I love her, but Gayle becomes like a friend of billionaires, and it's not a good.
I don't like it. I'll tell you something. I did see there was something funny today on X where they said the funniest thing we could do is when Katy Perry goes up into space, let's just move Earth so that when she comes down, it's not there.
Oh,
or someone else said that when we get there, when she comes back down, let's pretend like we don't recognize her, like that Twilight Zone episode.
So awful. Would you, James, if you were invited to go into outer space on a mission like this, would you do it?
No, I would not go with Jeff Bezos and
you wouldn't go. Would you let's take away Jeff Bezos for a minute? Would you go into space?
Oh yeah, I'd want to go to space for sure, but I would have to decline on ideological grounds.
Yeah, I'm not going to go with Elon Musk, and I'm not going to go with Jeff Bezos. And I also have a feeling that I don't know that I can do the claustrophobia of being inside a suit and having to pee inside the suit and not all that, throw up inside the suit.
Ideology aside, I don't want to go into space. I don't. I barely want to get into the water in a lake. You know what I'm saying? It's just like it's an unnatural place for me to be.
I would find it interesting, though, to be one of the first people to colonize Mars. I think that would be fascinating. But I don't know that I could actually do it.
I wouldn't mind the journey, but I'd like to turn around and come home.
Oh, you don't want to die on Mars?
Personally, no. But
Mars is such a waste of time. Anyway, speaking of waste.
Yeah. Let's go on to number 3. James.
Number 3.
I wanted to talk about the Elton John, Brandi Carlile on Saturday Night Live. I don't know if you got a chance to watch the performance. They were both the dual performers of the week, and it was spectacular. Elton John was in such great form. He was playing the piano like he was a 25-year-old with his feet, and he's jumping up and down. His voice was spectacular. The song, it was a new song, 2 new songs that were just pure classic Elton John. Sounded like something off of Yellow Brick Road. So great to see him. You know, he had a hard year where he was losing his eyesight. That seems to have resolved itself. I don't know. But then on top of all that, I don't know if you saw the news that Madonna was in the audience that night at Saturday Night Live, and she went backstage and they squashed their 20-year beef. When he saw her, he mouthed the words, "I'm sorry, forgive me." They fell into each other's arms. She says, "Over the decade, I needed to go back." He said, "Forgive me." And the wall between us fell down. Forgiveness is a powerful tool. Within minutes, we were hugging me. Then he told me he'd written a song for me. He wanted to collaborate. It was like everything came full circle. This is our song. And so it was very nice that after all this time that the two of them were, it was just a nice moment. And like I said, the performance itself, if you haven't seen it, Tom, you will cream your jeans. You'll be so.
I haven't yet. I will. You know, Brandi Carlile does quite a job of with Joni Mitchell, Tanya Tucker, Elton John.
She's got that Lady Gaga gene in her, doesn't she?
She really, and it's people. You know, she's kind of latch on her, but she's making some great music with some great artists.
And that's such a happy ending. I mean, Elton John has feuded with many people over the years, but he does that normally end up reconciling and saying, "Oh, I was cranky," and all right. Number 2. Did you guys talk about this already? Liza, a truly terrific, absolutely true story.
I saw it. I talked about it, but I'll talk about it again because.
Well, I need you to educate me and help me through this because I watched it and I loved it.
What did you watch it on? Where did you see it?
It's PBS.
It's on PBS now.
Okay. Oh, good.
Yeah.
Okay.
And I mean, I've always loved her, but never really fully appreciated her, I guess. So I was like, oh, I really want to watch this. And I felt the story it told was so interesting. Just simply this, that she was the daughter of one of the greatest, biggest, iconic stars of all time. Her mother, who had a weird control over her, who put her on a platform, put her on a stage, but also denigrated her and put her down, and complicated relationship.
And it was competition. She's 12 years old and she's competing
with incredible archive of them on stage in London, and the mother's like shoving the microphone in her face to make her like hold it properly. But then Judy Garland died, and what an amazing moment that must have been in the culture. And then for her as the daughter to somehow, I think it's hard for children of mega famous people to then emerge and shine on their own. And this was what I took away from it, which Liza herself said. But she's like, yeah, I chose really good people. And I found so fascinating the way she curated the people around her, like Kay Thompson, who I didn't really know much about. Kay Thompson.
Fascinating.
Like Peter Allen, like Charles Aznavour, John Kander, Fred Ebb, Bob Fosse, House. I was like, oh my God. It was
Holden, Bob Mackie, like she manages to find mentors like the rest of us find, candy corn at the bottom of
And to me, it was an amazing story, and I wasn't expecting it.
She forged her own path. She made her own unique. Her star sets separate from Judy's, even though absolutely. And the other part that she escaped is Judy has a great tragedy to her life, obviously dying at 48 and Liza had her own trauma, and she surpassed those. She's in like her late 70s. So I mean, she's a survivor, she's an artist, and and when all the odds were against her in a way, just because she was the daughter of these, and she loves her father and spent so much time. Now I'll just say, because it's been released on press releases, but we are doing a tribute, giving us lifetime tribute to Liza Minnelli on the grand finale of RuPaul's Drag Race, which is
I cannot wait. I cannot wait.
I get to work with her briefly, and I took away that she is surrounded by love and surrounded by people who take care of her. And
Michael Feinstein is such a good friend.
There. Yes. Her management's there. Her brother Joe was there. It's like, and she sparkles and shines and gives love.
It was a really, maybe it was being on the plane or something. I don't know, but I
loved it, and I hope you love our tribute on the.
I know I will. I can't wait to see it. All right, Blake.
That word again. You said, because I always think I ask you every time I try and use it, and you always say it. The way I'm saying it is okay. Hey, I always say hagiography, and you just said hey gay for fee. What did you
hagiographical, darling?
Hagi. Did you put an I in there? Hagiographical.
I thought it had an I. Yeah.
Say it again.
Hagiographical. Hagiography. Okay. Well, how do you say it? Hagography?
No,
that's about hags.
For years I thought it was hagiography. I thought it was
maybe
like
it
hagiography.
Is.
But there's a hard G in it. From Tom, would you weigh in, Mr. Harvard?
When have we become like Sesame Street for homos? It's just like the word of the day is.
Okay, Blake, cut all of that out for time. Is it a
hard G or a soft G? I think it's a hard G.
I think it's a hard G too. But the way you just said it, there was an extra long A in there that I didn't. I always say hagiography, and you said hagiography.
Okay, haggle. Let's go to the break, and when we come back, the number one thing this week that made us go wow.
You're listening to World of Wonders Wow Report. Things that make us go wow.
Welcome back to the hagiography. Welcome back.
Hagry, awful.
I feel a little hangry. Welcome back to the Wow Report. We've been counting down the top 10 things of the week that make us go wow, and we've reached number one.
Number one.
I was just joking in the text when I said who will be the next editor of Vanity Fair, James.
I've come up with 5 people. I've come up with 5 possibilities.
Okay.
So the editor has left.
Yes,
it has been left or shown the door or evacuated. But yet, gosh, I'm so embarrassed. I don't know their name.
But over the years,
their history. So
Graydon Carter has just come out with a new autobiography that's fascinating. I think everyone should get a chance to read it. Tina Brown at one point was one of the great editor-in-chiefs of Vanity Fair. These are my 5 choices. Joan Juliet Buck could do it.
Who's that?
She was French Vogue for many, many years, and she's sort of a Joan Didion type of intellectual who knows everybody and everything. Bob Colacello would probably be a fantastic idea. He knows everybody and everything. He's got a wide range. Amy Fine Collins. Do you know Amy Fenton?
She's a writer, right? She wrote. She's written a lot of pieces, long form pieces
for Vanity Fair, and she's always on the international best dressed list. She's Tom Brown's muse. She's absolutely a fascinating woman. I think Mayor Rashawn might be someone who can step up and bring sort
of Radar, right?
Yeah, and he was with Los Angeles Magazine, I think, for the last 5 years or so. He just left, but he has that pop culture sensibility. Yes. Very much. And I'm also thinking, and this is my wild card out there, Patrick McMullen. Patrick McMullen knows everybody in Broadway, fashion, New York society, downtown Hollywood. European society, royalty. He knows every single person on the planet, and he could bring them together in a way that nobody else probably ever could.
Because you definitely need someone who's got connections and that sort of royal Hollywood sort of
somebody who can bring together, people, yes, who can bring together the best of fashion, the best of Hollywood, the best of this and that. And I think
I have one suggestion. It's gonna make you groan. Kris Jenner.
It's got it.
What, Fenton, had you thought about this? What do you
I did actually. Ronan Farrow.
Oh,
he's a Pulitzer Prize winner. He's got Hollywood royalty. He
has the intellectual chops to do it.
Yeah, occupies both worlds. Because I think that's what you need. I mean,
yes.
Radica Jones, I think sounds terrible, but she just wasn't like a personality in the way that Graydon Carter was or Tina Brown was.
Yes.
I mean, and that's no disrespect, because
the magazine has sort of gotten a little gloomy over the past 5 years, I think, too.
I also think, though, in terms of a job, it's a poison chalice, because, print is kind of dead, right?
But I will tell you, though, that, what Mel Ottenberg has been doing over in
yes. Actually, well,
Mel,
what about...
Yeah. I mean, but he has taken that magazine and brought it into the 21st century in a way that's
very true.
Every single issue is just fascinating, and he brings together that melange, that cornucopia.
And it pops on Instagram. I love the way the style they're doing it.
Yes.
It's really,
it's a jambalaya of pop culture and intellectualism.
Well, I guess we'll find out. The world does not end between now and the next episode of the Wow Report. Same time, same place next week. Until then, go out and do something that makes the world go wow.